My name is Teresa Kaltenberger and I'm here today from The Economist to talk with two representatives of Tata Group and one external expert to get a unique opportunity to gain insights about the global strategy of Tata Group. This is Ms. Pinat, Chief Strategy Officer of Tata Group, and Mr. Michael Sai, Chief Marketing Officer of Tata Group, and this is our external expert, our strategic analyst, Dr. Shimizu. Thank you all for coming here. Since we only have a limited amount of time, we have to make a selection of questions. I will start with a brief summary of the company and then we'll carry on to specific questions. Since 2000, Tata Group actively internationalized their operations and comprises today over 100 operating companies in 7 business sectors. It is ranked world 39th most valuable brand in Brand Finance Global 500 in 2013 and has over $96 billion revenue in the financial year of 2012 to 2013. Among the 7 business sectors is Tata Motors, India's largest car manufacturer, which is specialized in commercial trucks and sturdy vehicles that could withstand poor road conditions and positioned at the low cost end. Additionally, there's the Tata Consultancy Service, an IT consultant giant, Indian hotels company, Tata Tea and Tata Steel, the country's largest private sector steel company. So now we come to our first question, Ms. Pinat. What was the impact of globalization on the development of Tata Group? What would you say made Tata Group want to go global?
So the globalization strategy of Tata Group was strongly driven by the liberalization processes that India experienced at the beginning of the 1990s. At the time, a significant change of structure led to transformative developments in the Indian economy, such as the liberalization of India's openness to the international economy and the regulation of the domestic industry. This meant that more firms were entering the Indian market, which on the one hand increased competition for Tata Group, but on the other hand presented opportunities as well. So this was because foreign firms were required by law to partner up with a domestic firm. And so eventually Tata Group companies went into partnership with several famous foreign firms such as Mercedes-Benz, AT&T and IBM. And of course these partnerships were advantageous for the Tata Group companies because it meant that they could gain new knowledge and new competencies which eventually helped them succeed when they ventured abroad. Having said all this, the Asian financial crisis was also a very crucial reason for Tata Group's globalization efforts. This is because they thought it was a bit too risky to simply focus on the Indian market alone. So in fact, we could actually gain a better understanding of some of Tata Group's reasons for globalizing if we use Yip's framework of globalization drivers.
This is very interesting. Could you talk us through this?
For example, Tata was under pressure to gain new customers abroad in order to survive and be able to grow, which is a market driver. Tata Consultancy Services, for instance, was attracted by the market potential for IT services in North America and Europe. Further, the liberalization processes by the Indian regulators favored global businesses and therefore exercised pressure on the Tata Group to expand their business abroad, which can be described as a government driver. Another globalization reason for the Tata Group companies is due to cost drivers. Tata Motors, for example, acquired the Korean vehicle company Daewoo in order to implement their know-how in Tata Motors' truck business. Thus, Tata Motors could save costs for product development and cut the time to produce higher-level products for sales overseas. Lastly, there were obviously competitive drivers that led Tata companies to globalize. For instance, Tata Motors were under pressure to globalize as it was faced with intensified foreign competition in its home market due to India's openness process.
Thank you for this detailed evaluation. And now we come to Dr. Shimizu for the second question. How would you assess the key global strategies of Tata Group operating companies?
Tata Group has a number of different operating companies across industries. Each of them has taken different and unique strategic initiatives when they started to expand internationally. But I can see there's one thing in common that they share, which is merger and acquisition, M&A. Let me go through one by one in order to analyze how their globalization strategy is by applying the case analysis framework. Tata Steel took its first step towards internationalization by acquiring a business company in Singapore in 2005. The Singaporean market was chosen as the first destination of Tata Steel's international expansion because of the country's geographic location. Tata Steel's strong presence in Singapore can play as an important role as the hub, enabling the company to expand into other Asian markets smoothly and effectively. Tata Steel's subsequent acquisition of other companies in these areas enabled the company to be named the world's best steel maker in 2005 and 2006. Tata Hotels saw the potential for growth in hospitality business in such markets as US and UK. The company acquired several properties in Sydney, Boston, and San Francisco because the company found similarity of consumer needs in such gateway cities. Guests can be served in English, and operations can be done in English in Australia, UK, and US. Tata Hotels took advantage of this close cultural distance between its home and foreign countries so as to operate business smoothly. Tata Tea acquired a British tea company Tetley by using a leveraged buyout. The company saw a closer cultural distance between India and the UK. In both countries, people prefer drinking tea, and English is spoken. Tata Tea found it a great opportunity to enter the UK market because there is a common consumer needs in both India and the UK, making the transition easier and more smoothly. Tata Consultancy Services was born global. Because of the limited demand of its consultancy services in the Indian market, the company initially targeted such markets as North America, Europe, and Australia that are psychically close in terms of language, and that there are common needs of IT consultancy services. Tata Motors initially entered into Korean market. Korea's close geographic distance with China and other Asian countries attracted Tata Motors to enter the Korean market via an M&A of a Korean company for the purpose of its eventual entry into the Chinese and other Asian markets. Tata Motors sees a great potential for selling low-cost cars in such regions. Tata names China as its most important potential customer market. Tata Motors took advantage of economic distance, where GDP incomes are low in China, to sell its small passenger car, priced much lower than the vehicle of its rival successfully. As we have seen in the example of the operating company of Tata, how they acquired local company are different from one to another. But I can see every single strategic initiative that they took when they entered into the new market went successfully and smoothly. As a competitive advantage of Tata Group, I would say they have the capability that they can choose the most suitable entry decision making in order to be competitive in the global market. That is the conclusion of my analysis from the case framework of the Tata Group as a whole.
Thank you, Dr. Shimizu, for your expert opinion. Concerning the acquisition of the two automotive luxury brands Land Rover and Jaguar, Ms. Pinat, should Tata Motors have bid for them as part of its globalization effort?
Well, at the time the deal was made, it did seem like a very risky thing to do for Tata Motors. First of all, it was a very expensive acquisition that might have put Tata Motors' cash flow in a precarious position. I mean, what if we didn't succeed in making profit from Jaguar and Land Rover? There would have been severe consequences on the company, especially since at the time the economy was surrounded by clouds of uncertainty. Furthermore, Tata Motors' range of cars were completely different to Jaguar and Land Rover. We simply had no experience dealing with luxury cars, and considering the unstable economy at the time, would consumers even think about purchasing such luxury cars? So obviously this acquisition was a dangerous path to consider. However, I do believe the advantages outweighed the disadvantages in this case. So yes, Tata Motors should have bid for Ford's Land Rover and Jaguar as part of its globalization efforts, regardless of the risks mentioned. I mean, if you think about the bigger picture, Tata Motors were already compelled to internationalize due to foreign competition already in its home market. And so this acquisition was perfect for us to do so. I guess we could have competed with our rivals through, say, a joint venture, which would have been the less risky thing to do. However, this would give Tata Motors limited control, and there could be potential conflicts between the two firms and could be more time-consuming. So really, this acquisition was too good an opportunity to miss, and the company simply had to seize the moment. This is because by acquiring Jaguar and Land Rover, this would enable Tata Motors to update its own product range by learning from these two UK car companies. Additionally, it would give us access to a new kind of market. Similarly, it would help us gain access to the US market, which we hadn't even dared to enter previously. Moreover, we already had the experience and capabilities to handle such a huge acquisition because we had done it before with Tetley Tea and Chorus. And above all, by horizontally integrating, it would actually increase our market power by taking over two competitors.
And Tata Motors did eventually take the brave decision to acquire Jaguar and Land Rover.
Yes, they did. Rotten Tata was truly the risk taker, and fortunately, if you take a look at Tata Motors' financial statements for 2007 to 2008, you'd actually see that the earning before income tax increases after this acquisition. And there was even an article written about us in the Guardian newspaper stating how this Tata gamble had paid off because Jaguar and Land Rover have now been profitable, something that Ford wasn't able to do. So Tata Motors has a bright future ahead of them.
Thank you very much, Ms. Pinat. Now to our last question, Mr. Sai. In terms of the future of Tata Group, do you think there will soon be many firms like Tata Group from emerging markets are rising to overtake and compete head-to-head with established triad M&Es. Do you have any suggestions to give for firms from the triad countries about how they should respond?
I feel that it may be idealistic for emerging market firms to successfully overtake established triad firms and compete head-to-head. I think that there are a number of challenges that are present for emerging market firms. For example, they lack the scale and experience necessary, and more importantly, they lack the global branding leverage that established triad firms can take advantage of. I think there's a propensity for firms in many emerging markets to favour a more conservative approach to internationalisation. I think much of this is ingrained in corporate culture, which affects the perception of risk. Take Tata Group for example. Although Tata Group chairman is very global in its vision, many of its executive board members are very risk-averse and conservative. I believe that Tata Group has taken advantage of some very unique conditions of its time. For example, they have established strong competencies in dealing with merger acquisition and dealing with internationalization. This coupled with the deregulation of India allowed them to establish first mover advantage before everyone else. I think that Tata Group's success internationally has spearheaded a new era of growth for emerging market firms. According to the latest meta-analysis conducted by ATK, the number of majority acquisition grew by 6%. Acquisition of established firms by emerging market firms grew by 26% annual rate. From this statistic, it can be inferred that in the near future, emerging companies will present a potential threat to established firms. M&A motive is very different from emerging firms. Established firm motive is to cut costs. Emerging firms focus on getting access to new technology and innovation. For example, Tata has only ever produced cheap compact cars, but acquiring Jaguar and Land Rover offer Tata access to production technology and new distribution channels. As emerging market companies acquire new technologies, they are diminishing established firm innovation capabilities, so it can therefore be seen as a serious threat to the global marketplace. I would recommend that triad companies should focus on maintaining the core innovation advantages by having strong investment in R&D and dedication towards superior quality. Part of this also links with protecting their intellectual property and proprietary technology. Another recommendation is to move quickly into emerging markets. For example, Vodafone purchased Hudson Essa in 2012 and managed to take benefit from operating the world's fastest growing mobile market.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sai. Unfortunately, this is all the time we have. I only have time to thank my guests. Thank you very much for coming here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
And yes, for giving us these unique insights into Tata Group.